What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today what I have for you guys is a pretty exciting update surrounding Black Ops Cold War here on a Monday evening. So Treyarch actually came out with some new footage of 3 different map locations that we haven't seen before. They also went ahead and confirmed that the Collector's Edition is indeed canceled, and we also have new details about the big Warzone integration, which is going to be happening a bit differently than we all expected. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because about 70% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So make sure you guys are getting notifications every time I update you on Black Ops Cold War. But actually starting off with the Collector's Edition now, we ended up getting a tweet from Treyarch themselves confirming that the premium edition of Black Ops Cold War, meaning the highest edition of the game, is indeed the Ultimate Edition. Now, the Ultimate Edition is cool and whatnot. It comes with some cool cosmetics, a cross-gen copy of the game, and even the Season 1 Battle Pass. Season 1 doesn't start until December, by the way, and that's cool and whatnot. However, there isn't an edition that's higher than that. Somebody actually asked them in a tweet whether or not we're going to be seeing a steelbook cover or another collector's item, and unfortunately, we are not. So that kind of ends that story there, right? The Collector's Edition is not happening for Black Ops Cold War, and I'm sure some of you guys are probably thinking, well, we're this late into the game, we're so close to release, how could they have announced one anyway? Well, here's the thing, I actually ended up hearing a couple of days ago that the Collector's Edition was officially canceled at the beginning of October. So it has me scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I guess they really did consider one this late into the game, and in all honesty, if the edition itself was as cool as the Juggernaut edition of Black Ops 3, they could have even announced one tomorrow, and I'm sure it would have sold extremely well and could have potentially even sold out, similar to the Juggernaut edition that sold out in a matter of minutes back in 2015. I think it was late August when they announced that. So you would think if they're going to do a collector's edition, they would have to announce one at the end of the summer or very early in September to get as many sales as possible. But if it's a Treyarch edition, it could sell out on the same day no matter when they announce it. But if you guys want to see a very nice video that I took my time to put together, I'll have it linked down below in the description. I went ahead and showcase all of the collector's items for every Treyarch Call of Duty, and I think the video came out really well. I'm really proud of that one. But now when it comes to the new maps they ended up showcasing, so we ended up getting footage of 3 new locations that we are going to be seeing in the campaign. The footage is gorgeous, and they also provided us with descriptions of some missions that we just didn't know about before. Now with the first campaign mission, Nowhere Left to Run, we did get plenty of gameplay of this one not too long ago during, I believe it was the PlayStation Showcase event. Now the gameplay was phenomenal, but we now have new footage of Amsterdam as well as a description of the campaign mission itself. So as they said, it all begins in a grungy tavern within Amsterdam almost 2 weeks after New Year's Day 1981. A massive break and a CIA investigation led 3 operators to this otherwise seedy watering hole, one whose jukebox is always tuned to the latest hits despite the lack of turnover to its decor or its top shelf bottles on offer. After a meeting with their source, the checks are cleared and they exit past the local bar goers to the alleyways, gearing up to capture the first of 2 key players to an ongoing hostage crisis. Now, the gameplay was really action-packed, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, and definitely a great start to a new story set in the Black Ops universe. Now, there's a couple of extra lines of detail which I'll have linked in the post down below in the description, but we're going to be going through the main details as they described for these campaign missions. Now, we then have the campaign mission Fractured Jaw. So, as they said, who is this threat that can alter the course of this global struggle? As one of the operators recall from their time fighting in the Vietnam War, it's none other than Perseus, a mysterious Soviet spy that some people believe never even existed. We have some gorgeous footage of Vietnam as we're going to see in this mission as well. You'll see that in the background. Despite this figure being written off as a myth, players will relive a first encounter with Perseus during the campaign's second mission, Fractured Jaw, set within the Vietnam War. Through this flashback, the team will uncover clues needed to track down Perseus, as the overarching theme of deception is deeply rooted within this past war and the current operation. So I'm sure the whole manipulation with the red door will come into play as soon as this mission, the second one in the game, Fractured Jaw. Really excited about that. Looking for a big plot twist as we saw back in Black Ops 1. And I had a great time yesterday playing through the entire campaign on co-op with a mod, of course, which I think is the best way to prepare for for the insane campaign we're going to end up seeing here in Black Ops Cold War. But I'll end up doing a very funny highlights reel of that stream yesterday in an upcoming video this week. Lastly, we have the campaign mission known as Desperate Measures. So desperate times call for desperate measures, and that's what this mission is all about. So after tracking down several leads in the hunt for Perseus, the team finds themselves faced with the unthinkable. They must go behind the Iron Curtain into the heart of the Soviet Union and infiltrate the KGB headquarters. Another change of pace compared to the first two missions. Desperate Measures sees our CIA operators break out the covert spycraft for a last-ditch attempt to gather information on Perseus. Using the latest in 1980s technology, including modified civilian tools and prototypical machines, players will assume the role of a Soviet double agent working for the CIA, reporting for work at the KGB's headquarters. So this reminds me of that mission back in the World War II campaign where you were undercover and going around, I think it was a Nazi mansion, asking questions, and you had decisions that you could make which would alter the rest of the mission. So this is a great example of how you're going to see a bunch of different twists and turns based on your decisions in the campaign. Cannot wait to see all the alternate endings this game is also going to have. But as they also said, more twists and turns come through these three missions. Perseus turns from myth to a harrowing threat, one that players will chase throughout the campaign. Something that both games have in common is their use of real-world history. This was a critical element that made all the conspiracies so great in the original Black Ops, and is something we couldn't wait to continue. From headline-grabbing crises of the early 1980s to lesser-known clandestine operations, this campaign will mix in Cold War history with a thrilling fictional experience that only Black Ops can deliver. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Black Ops 2 and all, but this truly does feel like the direct sequel to Black Ops 1, and it is. But the reason I say that is not because of the setting or the timeline, but because of the themes that they're going to be continuing in this game, which we only really saw in Black Ops 1. Real-world history, conspiracy, brainwashing, manipulation. We got some of those themes in Black Ops 2, but this game is really going all out with that, which makes me even more excited for the story. Now, they also released character bios for all of the main characters we're going to be seeing in the Black Ops Cold War campaign, and no, unfortunately, there isn't one for Ronald Reagan, but they ended up releasing one for Adler, Woods, Mason, Hudson, Helen Park, Lazar, and even Lawrence Sims. I'll have this linked down below in the description if you want to see more about this. But you know what? I think we're going to be seeing some other surprise characters make their appearances in the campaign as well. I'm really hoping for Weaver so that we get a nice tie-in into Die Maschine. And like I said as well, I cannot wait to cover all the alternate endings that this game is going to have on day one. But now when it comes to new details about the Warzone integration with Black Ops Cold War, it was confirmed by an Activision employee that there will not be an engine shift for Warzone following the Black Ops Cold War integration. And I'm not a game developer, nor am I an engineer that understands how game development even works, but correct me if I'm wrong down below in the comments if you guys know. I don't think it was even possible to drastically change the engine of Warzone just with one update, no matter how big the update size would have been. I mean, maybe it could have been possible, but I just feel like if they wanted to really change the engine of Warzone overall, they would have had to make a new Warzone application. But like I said, I'm uneducated about a lot of that game development stuff. But here's the thing too, a lot of people feel differently about this. Some people, like myself, prefer how Fireteam Dirty Bomb felt from the Black Ops Cold War beta, which is essentially Treyarch's take on the Warzone mechanics, whereas other people, such as maybe some big streamers or big Warzone players in the community, definitely like how Warzone feels as opposed to Black Ops Cold War Fireteam. And you know what, don't hate on anybody for having differing opinions, it's just an opinion, it really doesn't matter. Everybody has their preference for how a game should feel, that is that. But the thing is now, since there won't be an engine shift, it's going to be a little awkward considering we're going to have two different feeling experiences. Warzone will be directly integrated in Black Ops Cold War, but will still feel fairly different from a game mode like Fireteam, which uses a lot of the Warzone mechanics. And the thing is too, don't forget that Raven did a majority of the work for Warzone to begin with, and they're working with Treyarch directly on Black Ops Cold War, so I'm sure they'll try to make the experiences feel as similar as possible. Like we've been hearing in the past, the new Warzone map will feature parts of the Fireteam maps too, such as Ruka and Alpine, so they have a head start on whatever the new Warzone map is. But what about the rumored Alcatraz? Is Alcatraz going to be its own separate entity entity or its own separate map to kind of keep us waiting until this new and bigger map releases? Or is Alcatraz actually a part of the new and big Warzone map that we may not end up seeing for quite some time? A number of months ago, I actually reported on some information from, I believe it was Game Informer, that ended up saying that we aren't going to see a new Warzone map until 2021, specifically some point between February and March. And we've been hearing about that again as of recently too from other people out there in the community. So if March is when we end up seeing the new Warzone map, what's going to happen with Warzone even when Season 1 drops this December? What's actually the point of the Black Ops Cold War integration then? Now, there was a report made a couple of hours ago by both VGC News and Modern Warzone that Alcatraz is apparently releasing this December inside of Warzone. However, I'm not sure if it's the same Alcatraz as Alcatraz Portals from Blackout. From the image that surfaced a couple of months ago, it does seem like exactly the same layout, but let's see if they end up changing it up a bit for the sake of Warzone. And apparently the big and newer map does indeed release in March, as previously claimed by Game Informer, and that's when the nuke event will actually take place. So we're gonna have to wait quite a number of months for not only a bigger and newer Warzone map on the scale of Verdansk, but also a couple of months for the nuke event. And apparently when the nuke event does happen, you'll still be able to play on a nuke Verdansk alongside the newer Warzone map, which somehow takes place near the Ural Mountains. That's the information that is floating around the community right now. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for talking about this, but again, nothing that is copyright protected has been shown in this video whatsoever. And that's the news with Warzone. You know, we were all expecting the nuke event to essentially be the transition from Modern Warfare to Black Ops Cold War, but that's just not the case. They aren't fully getting rid of Verdansk once the nuke event happens, but it'll still be there in a different form. Now, as I also reported recently, there is apparently a long cutscene that is supposed to play in Warzone at some point in the future, whether it's when Season 1 releases for Black Ops Cold War, whether it's when Alcatraz drops, or whether it's with the nuke event that happens in a number of months. Hopefully that ends up perfectly transitioning us from the Modern Warfare era to Black Ops Cold War, and it'll probably cross things over a little bit more than expected too. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you guys think about the Warzone integration, having to wait a number of months before seeing a new map, and how do you guys feel about a canceled collector's edition, as well as the new footage we saw of some new locations? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.